Alright, so a couple months ago back in June, ESPN released their top 100 rankings for the class of 2023 high school basketball, and it was headlined by some well-known and expected names like Mikey Williams and Bron. However, neither of these two received the #1 spot. This went to DJ Wagner, a 6'3" sophomore point guard who used to be hugely underrated in terms of media coverage from Ball's Life and all that. But yeah, Mikey was ranked 3rd overall, not even 2nd, and this caught a lot of people off guard as Mikey is not only very popular as a high school hooper, but also very good as well. So yeah, fast forward 3 to 4 months, we are in October, and now another credible network in 24/7 American sports has offered their 2 cents with a top 50 list on the same class. And in this list, Mikey did move up to 2nd, but he is still behind none other than DJ Wagner. And in this video, I'm going to answer why this is and just speak on it because I am not innocent. I still believe Mikey is better even after ESPN's rankings. And y'all will see why. Do not jump to conclusions. Before I even go further though, what's good YouTube? Plug Speaks back with a new vid. If you're new, subscribe. If you like basketball in general, sub up. I'm posting quality hoops content 2 to 3 times a week. And we trying to hit this 1K, man. Back to the vid though. So first off, I made a vid like this after ESPN first released their list for the class of 2023, and I'm not going to tell y'all, oh, make sure to watch that one, then come back. But I am going to add to a couple things I said there because the reality is that in a span of 3 to 4 months, not too much has changed besides Mikey transferring schools. And even still, the DJ versus Mikey debate is still very close and alive, whether you think it is or not. But let me start out with DJ because he just isn't talked about enough. This 6'3" point guard that plays for Camden High is just a winning player with a playstyle that's easy to enjoy. To break it down lightly, he's your model modern day point guard. Smooth with the ball, has a legitimate perimeter game. He can be assertive if the game calls for it, and of course finds his teammates and puts them in position to score. But don't forget the winning part I mentioned because that's a key factor in this back and forth debate. He led his team to a 25-1 regular season record last season while averaging 18.6 points per game and earning himself an All-South Jersey first team selection. Basically, he's been playing at a high level on the best team in the state, not to mention his dad and grandfather, DJ Wagner and Milt Wagner. The first of which is his dad, who holds Camden High School's record in points and even played in the NBA, and the second is his grandfather, who earned a McDonald's All-American selection in his time playing. The whole family line runs with talented hoopers, basically. That's a huge W. But back to DJ though, his coach describes him as someone who never takes a play off. He says the only way DJ will lose his #1 spot is if these networks get bored of ranking him there. And I must admit that's what it's looking like, at least with these most recent rankings. But I'm about to get started on Mikey, and the whole fuss about him is that at San Ysidro he played poor comp and that his averages of about 30 points per game, 5 assists, and 6.7 rebounds last year were just inflated stats. But one thing I notice goes on whenever there is criticism regarding Mikey is that a whole lot of discrediting is involved. And when you're as known as he is, you're going to get overly scrutinized. But something some of y'all are not going to want to hear, which is the truth, is that put all the cameras away, all the bias away. If you hear that a 6'2" freshman who is now a sophomore, of course, but going off last year's play, a freshman that dropped 77 points in a game in a non-cherry picking fashion, unlike LaMelo's 92-point game, just dominating drives, pull-up threes, nice offensive moves, and you hear that this freshman trains with some of the same people that train actual overseas pros and NBA players, you are going to believe that they have to be the best their age group or class has to offer. But I won't pretend that all the Mikey criticism is completely wrong, because it is true that in some plays or even games that are quote-unquote less important, his utmost effort is nowhere to be found. I mean, even the man's trainer admit to it, which is kind of crazy because, you know, it's similar to load management in the actual NBA, except come on now, this is high school basketball, not even college. Unless there's an injury, players, especially star players, shouldn't be out there and just not trying. But the criticism of his comp is half and half to me because, of course, competition matters and poor comp can make players look really good. But to pretend he would just be shut down and mediocre in another conference, division, or county is just discrediting to the max. At the end of the day, they are all in high school players. The gap in competition is simply not as great as some of you would like to believe. But if you still think the level of calm makes that much of a difference, your thoughts may change this coming season because, like I mentioned earlier, Mikey has transferred schools and will be playing basketball at Lake Norman Christian High School in Charlotte, North Carolina. And even though there is not much public news about the school or the level of competition, I can tell you that this viral photo of the team that had people clowning Mikey when he first made his announcement is outdated. Because if that was more recent, I could not even blame y'all for the jokes, for real. But before I wrap this video up, I'm trying to delve into what I think Mikey must do to actually get ranked above DJ. And to me, it has less to do with Mikey's game as it does results. And I must say, it is fair to call me biased in what I'm about to say, because it's true. Obviously, with so many clips and behind the scenes of Mikey out there, from full game highlights to interviews to personal life to practice and workouts, it's just so much out there that we've seen from him that makes it harder to put DJ above him. Like the sample size, forget the clout, the guy's an actual baller. But obviously, production and results is what ultimately goes into the outcomes of the rankings. So for Mikey to really pass up DJ Wagner this year, first of all, bro gonna have to try on both sides of the ball consistently. Because like I said, it's not all blind hate. There's a decent amount of situations where he just is clearly not trying on defense. Like take LaMelo Ball at Chino Hills for instance. This video is not about him, but watch this. LeVar's move of removing LaMelo from high school at just 16 to play professionally overseas was probably the best thing that could have happened to him in hindsight. But why? Because I remember at Chino Hills, they were just overpowered and LaMelo was doing whatever he wanted, showing up on defense or being completely absent depending on whatever he felt like, which is definitely something overseas professional teams do not tolerate. So it disciplined him and made him a better player. Now, I'm not saying Mikey needs to go overseas at all. Instead, I'm saying if LaMelo never did, he would not be in discussion for the #1 in this year's NBA draft. And if Mikey wants to be #1 in his class as he trends towards the goal of the NBA, he will need to be consistent in his effort on both sides of the ball in each and every game. That's the main key in trying to surpass DJ in class rankings from here on, along with just winning. San Ysidro didn't just have questionable comp, they were also just not that great of a team. Last year with Mikey leading the way, they only went 25-9 and were ranked 177th in the state of California. Like, forget the level of comp, the team gotta do better, point blank. And I'm sure Lake Norman will do better with probably a lot of impressive performances from Mikey. But yeah, before I actually end the video, let me further explain. Me seeing Mikey as better than DJ does not mean I believe there's a huge gap at all. If anything, it's slight. It could go either way. I'm sure those of you who favor DJ would say the same. And overall, it's gonna be fun watching this quote-unquote rivalry throughout DJ and Mikey's years in high school. They haven't actually played, so that's why I say quote-unquote, but there's certainly already some encore animosity initiated by Mikey, as he even called the man out on IG Live a couple months back. That's it for me though. I appreciate y'all watching. Make sure to like this, sub, share, all of that, and I'm out. See y'all in the next one.